I don't know if it's because I live in the country now, or maybe I've been hanging around my good buddy Matt Cremona too much, but I really want to get into milling up my own logs. Next week I'm going to be building a chainsaw mill, and then in early 2019 I'm going to be tackling the giant Matt Cremona bandsaw mill. And if I'm going to get into this, I'm going to need a way to snatch up a log and haul it home. So I modified a trailer to have a pick 'em up arch and give me the ability to do just that. So stay tuned and I'll show you how I did it. The concept is to make and attach an arch to the back of a trailer that can pivot forward and backwards. I'll be connecting a winch to the arch, then can tilt it forward to grab onto something, then winch the arch back to pull it up and onto the trailer. Now this project might seem big, and I suppose it is in size, but it's actually a pretty simple build. Also, I'm using it in this case to haul around logs, but it's worth mentioning that this design would be good for lifting and hauling anything that's big and heavy that you can get a chain around. I personally have a lot of rocks on my place that I'll be going after next. I started off by cutting the tubing that I'll use for the arch to length. I'm going with 1/4" material for almost this entire build. We don't have the stellar tree diameters that you in the north do, but I still want to build this thing hefty, so I'll always have the power should the need arise. For the meantime, I only cut the 4 bottom parts that make up the arch. I didn't want to weld the complete arch on my shop floor, then risk it not fitting exactly right on the trailer. So next I started prepping these parts to be welded. I started by sticking each one in my super jaws to hold on to it, so I could grind in a bevel on all the edges that would be welded to another joint. Then I moved the parts back down to my floor and stuck them together. I first tacked them into place, then welded them closed. For this project, I'm using my PowerMig 210 MP machine. And if you've been wanting a welder, it's worth noting that this machine is currently on sale. You can save over $400 until November the 8th by using the promo code PM999 at checkout over at LincolnElectric.com. Now, Cremona has his arch mounted permanently to the trailer, but not yet knowing how often I'll be using the trailer, I wanted mine to be removable. I've been traveling so much here recently, I asked Cody to tackle the design modification for me. He not only did that, but he also cut out all the parts needed for it at the Plasma CNC, and he even got footage of it. What? What a guy. Now, of course, if you don't have a Plasma CNC, then you could do this by hand. And if you're interested, I have the DXF files available for download over on my website. These mounting brackets have a bottom plate that will be attached to the deck of the trailer, then 2 vertical plates that will sandwich either side of the arch. All 3 components will get a hole so a pin can be placed all the way through. And this will create that pivot needed, but also make the arch removable should we want to use the trailer for just regular hauling. I started these off by lining out the placement on where these side plates needed to be placed. The important thing here is to make sure that they are parallel to one another. You wouldn't want that arch trying to pivot up and having interference issues. I'm using a 1" diameter pin, and to give it a little bit more support than the 1/4" plate material, I welded on some collars, just cut from 1" steel pipe, onto the outside of both of those side plates. Next I set it onto the trailer and threw a level on it. Not surprisingly, the deck of the trailer needed some attention before the plate would be level. And note, you do want to make sure that your trailer is level before reading level of this bracket. To fix my unlevel situation, I used my 4" belt sander to take down the high spot on the deck. Then after fine-tuning the left and the right, I went ahead and moved on. And the next step was to start reinforcing the bottom side of the trailer with some steel. For this part, I am going with 1/4" angle iron, and the important thing is for the angle iron to line up with the holes in these mounting brackets. Instead of welding the brackets to the trailer, they're going to be attached with nuts and bolts, and this is to make them removable as well. So the pin will make the arch removable, then the nuts and bolts will make the brackets, should we ever want to also take them off to use the trailer for regular hauling. So, back to placing this angle iron. I first transferred over the hole location from the mounting brackets to the side of the trailer. Then I cut the angle iron to length and stuck it in place. On this, be sure to leave room for not only the bolt, but the washer size that you'll be placing on it. You can see that I used some scrap wood to build up the deck some so that I could get a clamp in place and hold it while I set it up to weld. I placed a piece like this in line with the front holes as well as the back. Then started drilling the holes through the deck and through this angle iron. I'm going to be going with 1/2" hardware, but started off with a small bit and then stepped it up a few times until I got up to the 1/2" bit. Oh, and the important thing here is to make sure that these plates are parallel to one another, just like the plates on the brackets. You want everything on the same line so there's nothing running into each other as it comes up or goes down. Once all of the 8 holes were drilled, I stuck in the hardware and tightened everything down. While I was working on all of that, Brian was inside at my puny drill press, punching a hole through both of the uprights for me. It is a 1-inch hole going through 1/4-inch material, so it was a job that required a little bit of patience. But by the time I was done with the deck, he was done with the holes, so I could take the uprights and smooth out my welds before pinning it onto the trailer. I smoothed out the weld because later I'll add some gussets. Alright, to attach them to the trailer, I set it in place between the 2 vertical side plates on those mounting brackets. Then moved to the end of the leg so that I could lift it up, align all 3 holes, and shove the pin through. Oh yeah. Pick up, drop off. After getting the other side mounted the same, I squared up both uprights to each other and to the mounting brackets. Then I took a dimension for that final arch piece. I cut it to length and welded it in place. Building it this way, it's not only easier moving the arch into place, but it's also a safer bet over fabbing it on the shop floor, moving it into place on the trailer, and just hoping everything lines up. With that welded up, the last bit on the arch was to weld on some gussets over each one of those seams. These I went ahead and hand cut with my Tomahawk plasma cutter because I used thinner material. For these I went with 3/16 material simply because it's what I had on hand. I only placed these on the front of the arch, so I have 4 total. The middle 2 were of course easily done with the arch laid down, but the fender wells on the trailer got in the way of those outer 2, so I had to stand it up in order to complete those. Now, while I was working on that, Cody and Brian were figuring out how to mount a winch to the trailer to attach to the arch. And I actually went out of town the day that they were working on this portion, and unlike earlier, they did not film it. It is easy to forget to film if you're not used to it. So here's an overview of the system for you. Cody cut out a giant plate on the CNC plasma cutter in order to fit into the tongue of the trailer for the winch to sit on. And what I thought was a good idea is he welded it to the bottom side of the trailer so that when the winch is under load, it's pulling that plate up against the trailer instead of just pulling against the welds. The winch and battery were mounted, then a heavy-duty D-ring was welded to the arch to create a grab point. Now, before I get into the footage of using the trailer, let me talk to you about this video's sponsor, which is Wix.com. Most folks know me as a builder, a creator, or a maker. Definitely not a website developer. However, in my line of work, a website is such an essential, powerful tool that it cannot be ignored. Fortunately, for people like me, Wix offers a simplified and free web building service designed to take out the stressors that come along with web development. And I speak from experience as I've used Wix to build my own website to showcase a product that I sell, which is a grenade stool in both metal and wood. They have a crazy cool drag and drop interface to help you designing on the front end. Additionally, Wix can support your product sales by helping you list products, collect payments, send invoices, and they even have a default thank you email template to send out to your customers following up on their completed order. Big thank you to Wix for making it so easy for me as a creator to sell my pieces online, but also for supporting my channel. If you've been thinking about setting up a website, I definitely recommend trying it. It's free, so you have nothing to lose. Go to wix.com/go/April Wilkerson or click the link down in the description. All right, now let me show you how this trailer works. A friend had 2 good-sized oaks down on his property, so we backed the trailer up to them. And they both still had their root systems attached, so I first cut them off to make hauling it easier. Next, we just pulled the winch out and hooked it onto a train looped around the log, then pulled it not only in line with the trailer, but also up close to it. Once it was close enough, we engaged the arch by hooking the winch onto the arch, then connecting a chain from the arch to the log. Now as the arch moves back, it picks up the log and gets it over the lip of that trailer, then sets it down on the deck. Now we could lower the arch, choke up on the log some more, then raise it back up to get the rest of it planted on the trailer deck, then switch back to using just the winch and pull it up where we wanted it to rest. And one modification I will be doing right away, and I recommend for you if you tackle this project, is welding on some hard stops to keep the arch from just falling over in both directions. Because there is a range where the arch will stay engaged, either from the winch or from the load of the log, but then it just flops over. Dang. which of course can be dangerous, but also it then requires you to pick it back up for the winch to engage it. But hey, I am still calling this one a success. And I think that's it for this one. Of course, I'm already thinking about a few modifications. Somebody on Instagram suggested adding jacks to the back end, and I think that's a great idea. And I'm also entertaining the idea of ramps with rollers, just to make getting the log up and over this lip a little bit easier. But we'll see. Of course, if I do any modifications, I will bring you guys along. Now, if you have any doubts or questions about how much an arch like this can handle, be sure to check out Matt Cremona's Instagram and YouTube channel, as he lives where the beech trees grow, and he hasn't come across one yet that he hasn't been able to tackle. Plus, he's been doing it for years and is very knowledgeable on the subject. So that's it for this one. Stay tuned next week where I build a chainsaw mill and actually slab up these logs. I will see you then. Okay. Oh. Easy now. Don't fall off. No.